Welcome back to the Paperback Podcast. And since the year is coming to an end, I decided it'd be fun to do my top 5 best and my top 5 worst books of 2022. Wow, I just time traveled for a second. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. Today we got 2 different piles, okay? We got my favorites, top 5, and my least favorites. We'll do like a little bit like I'll do worst book and then best book and then, we'll see. So, starting off with Genuine Fraud by E. Lockhart. Now, if you've seen my video on this, you know how frustrated I was at the fact that literally nothing happened in this book. I mean, so much happened, but the ending was written in a way that I was like, you just read a whole book for no reason. Like, nothing happens at the end. No conclusion, no big thing that reveals everything. You're just kind of left confused and with so many unanswered questions. I mean, I've never been like this confused in my entire life. Like, what the hell happened in this book? And it's a shame because I actually like E. Lockhart's other books, like the We Were Liars series, and I just finished reading Again by E. Lockhart, and I also like that book. But what the hell was this book, bro? What happened? Literally, count how many times I say what happened in the Genuine Fraud video, like when I made the video. Anyways, so that's my opinion about Genuine Fraud. It's like a waste of pages, to be honest. It was so interesting, but the ending was just so disappointing, and it completely ruined the entire book. Anyways, so I don't go insane, because I don't want to be talking about all the books I hate in one row, because I think that would send me to an asylum. But let's talk about The Perks of Being a Wallflower. I made a video on this during the Banned Books Week, and if you don't know what that is, Banned Books Week is when, there's like this long list of books by the American Library Association that are quote-unquote like too inappropriate for school, or like that have been on the brink of being banned, or are banned. And The Perks of Being a Wallflower was one of those. Now, I actually watched the movie of The Perks of Being a Wallflower before I read the book. And as always, the book is better than the movie. But when I read this, I didn't really understand why people wanted this book to be banned. It's like, it's fine. I looked at all the complaints that people made, like, there's LGBTQ content, one gay character, there's sex scenes, one scene where they don't even explain the whole thing, they literally just explain the beginning. And like occasionally they'll be like, oh, I accidentally walked into them having sex. That's literally it. I understand if you want this book to be banned for like middle schoolers. I totally get that, because like middle schoolers shouldn't be reading this, but like high schoolers, all this stuff they're talking about in this book, that's all the stuff that they deal with in high school, okay? That's just how it is. And, like, there's also talk about, like, drugs and stuff. I hate to break it to you, but that's kind of what teenagers do. Sex, drugs, swear, gay, that's what they do, okay? That's what teenagers are. Okay. And in my opinion, this is like an amazing book. I mean, I just had such a fun time reading it. And, like, it's so simple to read, and, like, it's just nice to read, I liked it. It was really, I like this book. I don't understand why people are hating on it. Ban it for middle schoolers, I guess. Don't ban it for high schoolers, and don't ban it in general, because, like, why? Okay, so, oh, by the way, these are, like, in no particular order. Like, I'm just, like, picking up, like, random, like, it's just random, It's not, like, The Perks of Being a Wallflower is not my favorite book of this year, but yeah. So, next up for my top least favorite books, we got Daisy Jones and the Six. I didn't even make a video on this, because, to be honest, like Genuine Fraud, nothing happened, but it's even worse than Genuine Fraud because in this book, there's like, I bought this book because it was so hyped up on TikTok, and I read the back of it, and I was like, damn, this is gonna have some crazy plot twist. It's gonna be like amazing. Nothing happened. Like, it was such a good setup for like this big reveal at the end, but literally nothing happened. I was so disappointed by this book. I literally finished the book and I was like, I closed it and I was like, what the fuck was the point of writing this? I mean, the characters and everything was amazing. You know, it was just so disappointing because nothing happened. Absolutely nothing happened. Why am I always picking up books where nothing happens? I don't know. But, I mean, I read 403 pages of this book for nothing to happen. Why? And it's such a shame because I loved The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, which was also written by this author. And I was like, okay, Daisy Jones and the Six should be pretty good. And it was such an interesting story. But why did nothing happen? Like, you built like this up and then it's literally like it's so anticlimactic. Well, climatic, but anyways, moving on. So next up for my top 5 favorite books, number 2, we got 1984 by George Orwell. Now, I always wanted to read this book, and at the time when I was reading it, I was super into like my dystopian novel kind of phase. And this is like a classic. I feel like everyone should read this. I made a video on this, and I think I compared it to Brave New World as well. And I think that this is a very thought-provoking book. I think this is one book that really deserves to be a classic. This is a classic for a reason. And I knew I was gonna like this book, and I did. So yeah, really, like, just like to summarize, I love this book. I knew I was gonna love it, and it was really good. And I highly recommend it to everyone. It is a bit hard to read though, and you kind of have to think, you know. But I think this is definitely deserving of being a classic, and I think George Orwell did an amazing job at this. Amazing. I understand why this book is so popular, and I think it really has an interesting vision of the future that is still possible. I see people that say that 1984 didn't really come to reality, but I think you just have to look a bit more and you'll see that it kind of is, you know? I think this is a brilliant book. So, yeah. So next up for my least favorite books, at number 3, we got It Ends With Us by Colleen Hoover. Oh, it's so... Okay, listen. If you've seen my It Ends With Us video, I read this book twice. And the first time I read it, I liked it because it got me into reading. Like, this book... I don't even know where to begin with this book. I mean, when I first read it, I loved it so much. I was a new reader, okay? Like, I'm still kind of a new reader because, like, I haven't even read that many books. I started reading, like, a year and a half ago. But I still know that this... it's so bad, bro. And the thing is, it's not like the plot is bad, but oh my god, the cringe factor. I mean, listen, I've seen like some quotes from Colleen Hoover's books like online, like from Ugly Love and stuff, and they're pretty bad. But this? I almost lost my mind when I read this for the second time. I had to take like a break every 2 seconds because like what? The things that they say in this book it makes me think, like, how did first of all, someone wrote this, right? They probably read it again to like make sure. They had an editor who checked the book, who also read all of the crazy shit, and this still got published. How does that happen? How? I don't understand. Anyways, so nonetheless, it's still a pretty heartbreaking book. It's all right. You know, if you want a sad story, this is fine, but prepare yourself. Prepare yourself for the like. Oh my god! And I thought my dream SMP phase was cringe. No, we gotta move on. We gotta move on. I already made a video on this. Like it's killing me to talk about it. Okay, like I'm losing my soul right now. Moving on. And this was actually the first video I ever made, The Midnight Library. This book was so good, bro. Okay, so listen to me. This book is so simple and it's so good. And I think this is one of like the most interesting like topics you could talk about. Okay, maybe I'm exaggerating, but it's definitely one of the most like interesting topics you could talk about in the book, about life and regrets, and would you live your life differently if you had the choice, like what is the best way to live, right? And this whole book is just about changing your perspective and realizing that you can do anything, but if you stay in the mindset of I can't do anything, I'm worthless, then you won't achieve anything. But in reality, there are so many possibilities. You are just a body, and like the world is like this huge possibility like realm. Okay, you could like go to Jamaica and be a hippie for like 2 years, and then you could be like, well, never mind, I don't want to do that, and become a professor at a university teaching science. And then you're like, maybe, you know what, I want to just like go off grid and like live in a hut, or oh, I want to be rich and famous. Anything you can achieve, literally anything. And it's about having that perspective and having that mindset and realizing that the only thing you have to change is your perspective. You might think, I am this person, I can only do these and these things, but that's not true. And I think this book did like, oh my god, if you see my Midnight Library video, you know how much I love this book. I loved it, and it's definitely, I will always recommend it to anyone and everyone. I might read it again, even because like it was so good. And I think it's also a good book to if you're like a new reader, you know. So yeah, always will, always have, and forever will recommend this book to anyone and everyone. Okay. From Colleen Hoover again, one of my least favorite books. It starts with this. Now listen, I didn't like this book because it was bad. I didn't like it because it was just so, like, unnecessary, in my opinion. Okay, listen, I love Atlas and Lily together. Amazing. This is the sequel to it ends with us, by the way. I love Lily and Atlas together, but I feel like this book, when I bought it, I told one of my friends who read this book, I told her that I bought it, and she's like, why? It's so like pointless. Like I read the entire book and it was like pointless, and I'm like, well, let's see. And I get what she means, because like everything that happens in a book you could have expected. You know, you didn't really need another book to know what was gonna happen, you know. Nonetheless, I did love the Atlas and Lily content, but I feel like this book was just kind of pointless. And also, why is it bigger than my head? What's the point of this? Like, can we please compare these? Like, what the fuck happened, bro? Why is it so, like, why? Look at this. This is huge, bro. I had to bring this to me to school. I brought this with me to school. I lug out this big ass book, bigger than the size of my head. I open it like this to get reading, Everyone's like, what the fuck are you reading? I'm like, I don't know, it's bigger than the size of my head, bro. Jesus Christ. Anyways, so, like, honestly, just kind of a useless book. I like the seeing how Atlas and Lily were doing and everything, but it's like, was it really needed? I don't know. I could have, like, nothing changed for me when I read this book. I mean, I would have been the same person I was if I didn't read this book, you know? Now we're getting to the last 3 books. So, for my one of the for the second to last top 5 book, we got Brave New World. So, I made a video on this as well, like 1984 versus Brave New World or something. And the second I read the back of this, because again, I was like also in my like dystopian novel phase, I knew I was gonna like this book, you know? For some reason, I just love books where they just totally shit on society. Like, it's amazing. I just love it, you know? But I think this was also a very, like, prophetic book. Like, just completely, like, predicted everything that was ever gonna happen, you know? And I think it was just so interesting. Like, it took me so long to read, but, like, I enjoyed it, you know? I loved seeing the critique towards society. I loved seeing how back in, like, this was written in like the 1930s or something, and I loved seeing how even though he wrote it during that time, it was like he had already seen the future, you know, and I think that was like incredible. And I think it's also a really good book, like criticizing like hedonism and yeah. Watch my video on this. Highly recommend this book. Very good book. Glad I spent my money on this. It was like, I don't even know how many euros. I know it was a lot because I bought it in Amsterdam. And it was quite expensive, but you know what? It was worth it. It was worth it because this was a damn good book. And now to probably like the worst book I have ever read in my life. I mean, if you see the video that I made on this, it's 30 minutes long, okay? And like we got Punk 57. Anytime I see this book in a library now, I cringe, I shudder, I shiver, like I feel like this pain in my soul when I see like the name of this book. So yeah. Punk 57 is supposedly a romance novel. I don't know who decided that, but like with It Ends With Us, I find it appalling and shocking that this went through multiple people and then it got published as well. Like, who in their right mind wrote this 50 Shades of Grey ass high school Wattpad novel, bro? Like, I can't even put into words, which says a lot because I love talking so much. I never shut the fuck up. I can't even put into words, like, my absolute, like, disgust for this book, okay? And the thing is, when I picked this up, I was like, oh, this sounds pretty interesting. It did not cross my mind for a second that this was a romance novel. I don't know why. I don't know how. Like, my brain was, like, not working. I was, like, on autopilot, but... And then I read it, and I was like, oh. Oh, wow. Oh, my God. I actually have tears in my eyes right now. Okay. So, listen. I'm sorry. I accidentally, like, read a line from this book, and I'm like, appalled right now. What's happening? Oh my god. Burn the book, please. This is the kind of book that should be banned. This is like, sometimes I understand why you want to take freedom of speech away from people. Okay, like, I get it sometimes. When I read a book like this, I'm like, you know what? Maybe some people just shouldn't be allowed to talk. I can't, like, for my mental health, I cannot see this book anymore. I might actually burn this. Okay, so for the last book, we got Radio Silence by Alice Oseman. This is so good. Spread this on Book Talk more. Book Talk people, go do your thing. Go do your thing. Radio Silence by Alice Oseman. It's amazing, okay? I also read Solitaire by Alice Oseman. I just ordered I Was Born for this. I'm probably gonna get Loveless. I've already seen Heartstopper, so I'm probably not gonna read the book. But if Alice is watching this, please write more books, okay? Because you only have 5 books. I need more, okay? Go write them right now, because I love these damn books, okay? I don't know what it is I love about them, but the way that Alice Oseman writes is so, like, Alice Oseman's books just, like, speak to me, you know? And I love her writing, and I think she is one of the best, like, she's one of the best authors to write about teenagers, you know? She just does, like, such a good job at it. I love this book so much. Like, I wish this book... The only problem I have with this book is that it's not longer, okay? That's the only problem I have with this book. Love this book. Loved Radio Silence. Loved Solitaire. Loved Heartstopper. Make more. I'm probably gonna love I Was Born for this as well, so it's on its way. I'm hoping it arrives today because I want to read that so bad. Probably also make a video of it. But yeah, and I think the fact that Alice Oseman published her first book at 17, girl, crazy, and it was such a good book as well. And Radio Silence is amazing. Heartstopper is amazing. Make more. I swear to God, I will riot if I don't get more Alice Oseman books. I will riot. Anyways, so that was my top 5 worst and best books of 2022. Also, I totally forgot to mention this. I'm in a different setting. This is my bedroom. That's my bed. That's the window. Like, because the lighting is just so much better here. And also, I started another podcast called The Way No Way Podcast. It's like a Friends reference, you know? Like, if you've ever watched Friends, this is, like, so specific. I don't know how I remember this, but when Ross and Chandler were, like, in college, they had a band called Way No Way. And I was like, this is an amazing name for a podcast. I'm just going to steal that. So I did. I talk about, you know, just other stuff. I'm going to record a video right now, actually, about Twitter. And tomorrow, I don't know when this is coming out, but, like, tomorrow I'm releasing the video of, I talk about the time I got arrested in Lisbon. So if you're interested in that, go watch. Yeah, I'm going to be uploading there, like, every 2 weeks or something. I'm still going to be doing this, though, weekly. But yeah, I really want to start another podcast where I talk about other things. But yeah, hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see y'all next time. Happy holidays, Happy New Year. Alice Oseman, make more books. Bye!